Hey guys, and welcome back. I apologize about yesterday's mic issues, but we should be good to go for today. And I've talked to you guys about how every patch, one of the first things I'm going to do is reorganize my hero grid in game with the heroes that I'm going to pick from. So consolidating your picks, making sure you have basically notes on what heroes you're willing to play. And for everyone of all skill brackets, I highly encourage you to do this for all 5 roles, especially when you're earning those roll queue tokens so that you don't just randomly throw some games away in order to get back to your main role. So let's go ahead and get started, guys.
Banana slam jam.
So my main role is carry. We all know that. So we're going to start with the other 4 roles. And this is something everyone here can learn from, not just that they should do this with the other 4 roles, but if you see these heroes on my list for the other 4 roles, I think they're some of the best heroes in that respective role because I want to be able to pick powerful heroes that are kind of like versatile and will cover almost every circumstance when I'm forced to pick. First and foremost, if I am not playing my primary role, I am going to pick earlier on in the draft. Unless I think I can pick like the perfect 10th pick hero in the draft of a pub, then I'm going to prioritize picking earlier on. So I want to be able to pick basically any type of hero if I'm picking 3rd, 4th, meaning I need a ranged or a melee, stunner, or a farmer. But I also want to be ready to first pick, especially on supports. For every position, I'm going to go through my heroes and talk about why I have them on this list and how they kind of cover all my bases, and something you guys can think about for your own hero pools. So Ricky, I think, is probably the most powerful melee 5 right now. I know that sounds like kind of a meme, but he's super strong early in lane, just really high base stats, and then his shard is just absurd. Just absurd. He's basically a free scout all the time, invis, really hard to find him on the map, and then cloud plus shard is just insanely broken from an invis perspective of setting up kills, silencing in team fights. The only problem with Ricky is that he does nothing for lane pushing. So if you're having issues in your lower MMR pubs where people aren't pushing lanes, definitely not a hero to be picking. What I do love about Mirana, though, is that she's kind of like an independent farming support. You see that I have her in the 5 and the 4. I think she's just as strong as she was last patch. And I like to play a hero like this that fits the description of if I don't really feel like my team is pushing lanes, if I don't feel like I'm getting like the proper items for my offlaner, what Mirana's so good at is being independent and pushing lanes on the map, and also being able to farm up those team fight or utility items that other people may not be buying. And then I like Lich as probably my favorite lane dominator of this patch. Kind of like a go-to, don't know what else to pick, just go for it. I think just having a go-to strong laner in every category is ultra important. So having overlap whenever you can, very important on your non-primary roles, so that's why I have Mirana in the 4. Tiny and Tusk, I think, are just the best melee 4s right now. Just being able to set up kills, being able to roam on the mid lane, and being able to drag creeps in the lane. Basically create a lot of chaos. I feel like I'll have a lot of impact early game, but also be able to scale into the late game, whether that be with kill threat or save from the Tusk. When it comes to offlaners, usually I'll be picking 3rd, 4th, or I'll just spam pick it on the first round. I don't necessarily like picking Razor first because of heroes like Drow that just kind of own him, like I talked about in my video yesterday. But Primal Beast is a very reliable laner. He's the one, if like when in doubt, I would pick him first. And it's just because the hero's laning stage is like, the worst that could happen is really not that bad. Basically, he has good recovery mechanics. He can cut waves if he has to. Trample plus onslaught can make ganks happen even if you're only level 5 in the mid game. That kind of stuff. And then with the next hero is Lycan. I've been seeing him a ton in my games, and his win rate is absurdly high in pubs. He's basically replaced the summons offlaners from last patch that bought Wraith Pact. What they didn't do was nerf Helm of the Overlord, and Lycan has very high win rate in all brackets, and Helm of the Overlord is a very strong item. They never nerfed Vlad's. They just nerfed Wraith Pact. Vlad's is still an incredibly strong item in teamfights, and any aura building offlaners I think are still viable as long as they don't rely on Wraith Pact. In the mid lane, I have a comfort zone hero, Leshrac, just one of my, if you can see, level 20 on Dota Plus, one of my favorite heroes. Primal Beast overlaps with Offlane. just an active roaming mid laner that I want to feel comfortable on. And then Lina Sniper are kind of like my carry slash damage dealers that would be picked later on in the draft, based on the fact that I don't think the opponent can deal with them. So the first two are kind of like up in the face of the opponent tanks, and then the last two are backline damage dealers. Just kind of my style as a carry. I just don't really play the super mobile mid laners, the mid specialty heroes. So that's why they're not on here for me. So honestly, I'd recommend a hero pool similar to this for people who are stuck playing mid that are not necessarily mid lane players. And then for carries, this is more of like a tier list of what I view the carries for this patch. I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, where are these other heroes? Like yada yada, I love this hero this patch. This is just my opinion on the kind of priority of what I would want to pick this patch based on what I've been seeing thus far. And it will always shift based on results, based on the heroes I'm playing against that I felt were difficult to beat, yada, yada, yada. So Naga, I still think reigns supreme as like the best carry this patch. Just incredibly reliable laning stage. I always go the Radiance build if I can. Lifestealer still very strong. He's only weak against Razor, I think. Razor as an offlaner shits on Lifestealer. He also struggles against Slardar, but I'm not seeing Slardar too often. Other than that, I pretty much always feel good about playing Lifestealer. The only bad carry matchup for me is Ursa and Slark, so I avoid picking it into those. PL, I think, went up a notch on the rung because of on the ladder because of the Leshrac nerfs. Basically, I've been feeling like illusion heroes feel more and more powerful. And a lot of lineups right now, the Pudge nerfs and Lesh nerfs really buff these heroes a lot because those were two of the primary ways that people dealt with it. So I haven't really gotten to experiment with PL, but I do think he's pretty strong. You see that I have Drow, Sniper, SF in the middle here. It's almost worth like doing this because those three heroes are like the same archetype. I think these are the three best range carries right now. I know Clinks has a really high win rate in most brackets. I would prefer playing carries that carry the game by standing their ground and hitting, rather than heroes like Clinks that play for the assassination. These stand the ground hitting heroes are also better at building sieging, so I feel like I am more comfortable ending the game myself. I think Sniper is now the weakest of the three. I think the nerfs hit him pretty hard, but he's still very good against offlaners that don't have stuns, like Razor. Anti-Mage specifically, I have him on there because he deals really well with Razor. I would pick him specifically against basically Razor Sand King. That would be the dream. I think those two matchups for him are insanely good, and I've been seeing those heroes enough that he's made it onto my list. And then the other 6 heroes, honestly, Luna through Terrorblade here. These are just comfort zone heroes. You see that I have them all 20 level Dota Plus, Platinum tier. These are just heroes that I personally feel comfortable picking in pretty much every patch, and I feel like they're good enough to consider picking in my games. These would be more 10th picks in the draft. The idea that I have when I'm picking my primary role is if I'm forced to pick third, fourth in the draft, I will go for one of these top heroes in the meta. Like, these are the heroes that I would say, based on the first 2 picks, I feel comfortable picking them in a majority of the games where I'm forced to third, fourth pick. This later portion of the list is heroes that I specialize in. If I'm allowed to have last pick, I think they're much more situational, but they're potentially incredibly powerful in those situations. And then the last part about my hero grid that's really important to see here is the get out of my games category. These are the heroes that I just don't enjoy playing against, and I will prioritize for my bans. So Razor is my #1 ban right now, and then if it is already nominated, I will nominate Ricky. These heroes are just incredibly pesky, annoying, not so fun to play against, so I get them out of my games, as you see in the description. And then lastly, the don't forget about. These are just kind of the don't forget about section is just don't get cheesed by these heroes. These are the heroes, like I had Broodmother in their last patch. I'm not seeing nearly as much Broodmother right now after the Wraith Pack nerf, so Lycan's kind of taken her place there. I'm just making sure that when I'm picking, I think, oh, are we going to have Huskar issues? Are we going to have Tinker issues? Do we have no way to deal with summons? Lycan being the main one. If so, I might pick a hero preemptively to counter these heroes, or at least a hero that is not countered by these heroes, such that I don't auto-lose in the draft. So thanks for watching, guys. This is a habit I get into every single patch, and Stay tuned for more content on the patch. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.